Joining me now for more on this, independent political analyst Aidan Smith. Aidan, interested in what you think the real reason is for dropping out. I don't think anyone thought Ron DeSantis was going to win, but did he think as well he was going to be clearly relegated to third spot, so he's getting ahead of that scenario?
You know, it's really interesting because obviously DeSantis's campaign has seen, let's just say, the opposite of momentum in the past 6 to 8 months. And obviously the Iowa caucus disappointment after a lot of his supporters really wanted him to pull out an upset there. Obviously, that precluded the possibility of him winning the nomination or even being competitive. But it is interesting because there were reports as recently as, I want to say yesterday, that DeSantis was expected to at least stay until South Carolina. I think a lot of people do have whiplash at the fact that Mr. DeSantis endorsed Trump immediately, as in, in his announcement speech that he was suspending his campaign. It was kind of inevitable, in my view, that he would have endorsed Trump. But I do think that, I think that instead of being relegated to third place against Trump and Haley, he just chose to go out on his own path. And I think it's clear that today, without question, Trump clinched the nomination of the GOP.
Yeah, I think we're all seeing that as inevitable. How does the rest of it play out? So Nikki Haley will obviously try her luck at New Hampshire, and maybe if it's a close result, we talk about it for a bit longer. But can she also become effectively the backup candidate? How do the mechanics of that actually work? Is there anything official? You're in second spot because you never know what happens to first spot. And that's obviously relevant to Donald Trump and his legal matters, but there's always a chance something happens. How are the mechanics of second spot, if you like?
For sure. So both of the primary systems for both the Democratic and Republican primaries, they've evolved really steadily over time. 60, 70 years ago, the delegates would be chosen. They'd have a handful of primaries throughout the country. But for the most part, it was the joke about the smoke-filled room. Delegates would choose the nominee. In the modern, mass media era where the primaries themselves are spectacles, our presidential elections are basically 2-year periods where people get acquainted with the candidates. It's a really different in the sense that, if Mr. Trump did bow out and there was someone who is clearly in a close second behind him in a really contested primary, thinking in terms of like the 2020 Democratic primary between Biden and Sanders, which looked really close at one point, there probably would be pressure for someone like Haley to be anointed. But given that it would be such an unusual circumstance in the modern era, I want to think that in this event, probably Republican delegates would try to coalesce around someone more allied with Trump's wing of the party. Who that would be, I'm not entirely sure. But I do think that is an interesting hypothetical going forward.
Well, the picture you paint there, I guess, is needing to have consensus in US politics. Good luck with that. Anyway, that's a theoretical down the track. The other interesting element of this, we're talking about likely another Trump-Biden contest. But the big difference could be in what comes after the word Trump. So Biden-Harris, Trump, all the speculation here is he'll run with a woman. That would be different to last time than Trump-Pence. How much of a difference might that make? Because this was an issue for Trump last time around. More progressive parts of the Republican Party and women, not needing them in mass numbers, but enough of them needing to come out and vote for him. Could this be an interesting difference this time that's on his side?
Absolutely. There's no question in my mind that suburban female voters, people who might have voted for Mr. Trump in 2016 and Mr. Biden in 2020, fairly sizable demographic in a lot of the key swing states. That's definitely who the Trump camp is going to be targeting. And I think besides South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, I think that most of the conventions around who is expected to be the VP nominee, people are mainly looking at women. So it's South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, people who are generally considered to be aligned with Trump's wing of the party. And I think that Trump really wants to see loyalty from the vice presidential nominee, as opposed to kind of past actions where you'd have nominees want to coalesce and create something of a unity ticket with someone from another wing of the party. But I think, it's interesting to see how that might unfold and how much impact it would be to have a woman in the running mate spot in terms of appealing to swing voters who are women. But I definitely think going forward that Veep stakes, as we call it, it's definitely going to be focused on female governors, female senators going forward.
Aidan Smith, always good to get your thoughts. Thank you.